I'm making this video to assist new players in getting into the classic games, as well as to help already existing casual players just get better in general, and perhaps have more fun when playing these classic games. I also expect experienced players to learn from this video. These tips are easy to implement, but not all widely known. Alright, welcome to my video. This is 7 things every Zombies player should know. Let's get into it. Comment any questions as we go. Number 1, fast knifing. Fast knifing is very simple. It's a method to knife faster on World at War, BO1, and BO2. You can knife faster with any gun if it has an empty mag by double swapping to skip the pullout animation. The second method, that only works on PC, is to use any semi-auto or burst gun, hold down the fire button, and you can knife faster because your gun comes out immediately. You can also use the second method to shoot the T-gun faster. This is mainly used on Ascension. Basically, shoot, hold down the fire button, and knife like you're about to fast knife, but instead of knifing again, shoot again. Number 2, explosive scaling. Now this is a useful one to know and very simple. Basically all explosive guns increase in damage by a linear amount each round. Some classic examples include the ray gun, sallies, and claymores. These all have significant scaling. Basically, each explosive gun has a base damage and scaling. I'll use the ray gun in this example. The ray gun has a base damage of 1000, and to maximize base damage, you want to shoot as close to the zombie as possible, usually between the feet. Explosive scaling is added on separately to any zombie you hit, and the way it works has a lot of RNG. With the ray gun, it does a random amount of damage between 0 and 100 times the round. That means on round 50, you could get as much as 5000 damage extra. On average, it's plus 50 per round, and there's a lot of variance per shot. Number 3, swap tech. Now I use this tip by far the most because it's useful in a wide variety of situations. First of all, if you're on PC, bind a weapon next and a weapon previous. I will talk about this more in my next video. I'm going to be using the term swap canceling a lot. Basically means I'm swapping forward and back with either 2 keys or hitting one swap key multiple times. Now, the first 2 simple things you can do with this is obviously cancel your reload and reload some guns faster. To cancel your reload, simply swap cancel. This means you'll be able to use the rest of the ammo in your clip if a zombie surprises you or whatever. You can also reload some guns faster by skipping unnecessary parts of the animation. The most useful thing you can do with swapping is taking out some guns faster. Let's use Ascension as an example. In early game, you usually have 3 guns. Mustang and Sally in your first slot, T-gun in your second slot, and ray gun in your third. If you switch directly from the ray gun to the T-gun, it's going to be slow because the ray gun puts down slowly and the T-gun takes out slowly. We can make both of those quick. First of all, the speed that you put your gun down is determined by the gun you're switching to. And if you're swapping to a pistol, it's fast, but if you're swapping to a T-gun, it's slow. What you can do is double swap, where you go ray gun to Sally's, then to T-gun immediately. The ray gun will put down quickly because you're swapping to a pistol, but if you double swap, the Sally's will never appear. Instead, you'll go directly to the T-gun. You can also skip the slow pullout animation with another swap cancel. So altogether, this is a double swap from ray gun, Sally's to T-gun, and then another swap cancel, and that'll pull out the T-gun almost 4 times faster than default. This is actually easier than it sounds, and only requires a little bit of practice. You can use a swap cancel to pull out basically any gun faster. The T-gun is of course a prime example of a gun you want out quickly and a gun that pulls out very slowly if you don't cancel the animation, but you can do this trick with basically all guns. Number 4, spawn rate. Now this can be a bit of a complex topic, but I'm just going to simplify as much as possible. I'm going to talk about a few concepts and how they apply to each game. Now, starting on World at War, Reese, and onwards, the base spawn delay is 2 seconds. The spawn delay determines how much time in between each zombie spawning, and it goes up by 5% each round until maxing out at 100 milliseconds, and this is reached at 56. The 24 zombie maps on World at War have a base spawn delay of 3 seconds and max out on 64 instead. BO1 added 2 things that slowed down the spawn rate, especially in solo. First, they added a network delay that adds 100 milliseconds to the base spawn delay, reducing the max spawn rate by half. BO1 also added a death delay for the zombies. With a max of 24 zombies on the map at any time, a zombie continues to fill a slot for 2 seconds after it's killed. This means that if you kill an entire horde, you have to wait 2 seconds for the zombies to start spawning, and another 4.6 for the entire horde to be spawned. When playing on co-op, both of these delays are reduced by half. The network delay was also on BO2 and 3, but the death delay was significantly reduced on BO2 and removed completely on BO3. On the 24 zombie World at War maps, the max spawn rate is very fast for two reasons. First, there's no death delay, although this only helps on co-op because it's a max of 24 zombies per round on solo. There's also seemingly no network frame delay, and this means that at max spawn rate, a whole horde can be spawned in 2.3 seconds. Number 5. Spawn control. This tip dictates the strategies that determine how and where players should play to be optimal. World at War is a bit different on each map, but from BO1 onwards, it's pretty simple. Zombies will spawn in the zone you're in, and adjacent zones. Generally, zones are areas separated by boundaries such as doors, but not always. In BO1, zones are almost always separated by doors or debris that you can open. Players use this knowledge to spawn zombies in a way that's safer or faster than usual, often both. Some common fast areas include Power Room on Ascension, Speed Cola on Verrucht, Tunnel 11 on Moon, or Shang Semtex. These areas don't spawn zombies faster, but closer to you and in less barriers so that you can kill them faster and have more control. These areas are important for playing fast, but they also make the game more fun and interesting. It's easy to burn out of zombies, especially if you're playing safe but slow strategies. I also want to talk about despawning, sometimes called bleeding out. There are two methods. The first is a failsafe meant to despawn zombies that are stuck in inaccessible areas, so when a zombie spawns, it gets a timer that ticks down every 30 seconds. If the zombie is in the same spot during 2 ticks of this 30-second timer, that zombie will despawn. Unfortunately, this can happen by accident by running zombies over the same spot with unlucky timing. The second kind of despawning was added on Call of the Dead and works from that point onwards. Zombies that are too far away from the player will despawn under certain circumstances. The zombie has to be off the screen, and the game only attempts to despawn zombies every 10 seconds. On BO1, the zombies also have to be undamaged. Zombies that despawn usually come back, but in some cases they die instead. On World at War, despawned zombies just die. On BO1, zombies in barriers that aren't in front breaking boards will also just die. And on BO2, the last 24 zombies in a round will die instead of respawning. Number 6. Drops and drop cycle. First, let's talk about the two ways you can earn a drop. Number 1, point drops. Number 2, RNG drops. To get a point drop, it's pretty simple. At a set amount of earned points in your game, you will get a drop. Now the code for this is a bit complex, but I will simplify it. Basically, it's 2,000 points times 1.14 for every drop. Now that sounds a bit complicated, but it basically means you have to earn 2,000 points for your first drop, and then 2,000 plus 14%, which is 2,280 points to get your next drop, since it's 14% more points for each drop. Later on, that basically means you have to increase your total earned points by 14% to get each point drop. RNG drops are a bit simpler, and they make up the majority of your drops. Basically, it's a 3% chance to get a drop from any zombie that can give you a drop. Boss zombies, such as dogs and monkeys, generally don't give you drops besides specific ones for their boss rounds that aren't part of your cycle, such as killing the last dog on a dog round, guaranteed to give you a max. But a random dog, Nova zombie, or monkey doesn't give you drops. You can get 4 drops a round, and a normal zombie can only give you a drop if it's met one of 2 conditions. First, it either has to have hopped through a barrier or finished its climbing animation out of the ceiling or floor. This means that zombies in barriers and zombies who haven't fully spawned out of the floor or ceiling can't give you drops. But it also means that zombies that don't spawn through one of these two methods will not give you drops. For example, on Shinonuma, zombies that spawn in certain areas will hop over a fence, and that does not count as a barrier. There are also areas known as drop downs on Ascension and Kino where the zombies can't give drops. With the basics out of the way, let's talk about drops. There are 4 base drops: Nuke, Insta, Double, and Max. These are in every map and always spawn. As new drops were added, they had conditions to spawn. And this is good because you usually don't want extra drops because the max ammo is usually the most important, and the more other drops you have, the less max ammos you get. Carpenters were added on Reese, and they only spawn if there are 5 or more barriers completely broken down. This is another reason to play in certain areas that have less barriers that I mentioned earlier. Fire sales, added on Kino, only spawn after the box moves, meaning some setups involve getting all the necessary guns before moving the box. Death machines, added on 5, only spawn after buying QR on solo or activating the power. This is the hardest to avoid because QR and power are usually pretty important. With Death Machine and Fire Sale, you can't get those drops if you already have the power up. And these drops aren't on every map. The drops I described are part of the Core 7. There are other special drops, such as perk bottles, or bonus points, or the bonfire sale on 5, but they're not part of the core drops. Your drop cycle tries to give you one of each drop before giving you any drop twice. The game actually tries to give you a random drop out of all the possible drops on the map, but if you don't meet the conditions to get a drop, then it gets skipped and you get another. This means you can skip a drop in your cycle. For example, before you turn on the power, the game could attempt to give you a death machine, but you could skip it. There's something called perfect drops, and it means you are getting each of the base 4 drops, including max, every round. To do this, you have to avoid corpse fire cells and death machines, as well as align your cycle so you get a fresh cycle each round. A prime example of perfect drops in action is Shang. With perfect drops, you can play past round 100 without running out of ammo in your baby gun because you're getting a max every single round. There's one last thing I want to talk about related to drops, and it's how Call of the Dead has a special round similar to a dog round, giving you a max ammo. Every 4 to 5 rounds, you can get a max from killing an electrified zombie that George creates, and this max bypasses all drop restrictions. If it's a George max round, then you will always get the max from the first 18 electrified zombies that you kill. Be careful though, because this drop can be got with any gun, such as a scavenger that doesn't usually make drops, and it can even drop inside a barrier. Number 7. Zombie stunning. Let's end off with a quick one. Basically, in World at War, BO1, and some maps in BO3, shooting a zombie interrupts its hitting animation. This can stop a zombie from hitting you. A couple quick examples of times this is useful include BO3 first rooms, where you often use the RK5 to stun a zombie as you walk past, BO1 where you use an SMG to stall zombies while going through a trap strat, or World at War where you use it to protect yourself in general. Thanks for watching, and ask any zombie related questions that you have in the comments. Like if you liked, subscribe to see my next video. It's going to be about everything outside the game, everything you need before you can start playing competitively that's unrelated to actual gameplay such as FOV, timers, patches, other clients, or mods for practice. Subscribe for that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys in the next one.